stop what you are doing right now. Not after the next thing. Right now. Find somewhere quiet. Close the door. Put the phone face down. And let whoever is waiting. Wait. What I am about to say has to land somewhere deeper than your ears. In the part of you that has been quietly, without a name, waiting for someone to finally say this out loud. This message is not for everyone who pressed play. Some people will hear the words and feel nothing, and that is fine. They were not meant to be here, but you pressed play at a time in your life that is not accidental. And the fact that you are still here, still choosing to let something reach you, even when exhaustion has been telling you to go numb, that tells me everything I need to know about who you are. Stay all the way to the end. Your tomorrow is depending on what you allow yourself to receive right now. Let me tell you what the last few days have actually felt like, not what they looked like from the outside. Because on the outside you have probably been holding it together remarkably well. You showed up, you answered the messages, you performed the function of someone who is fine. But on the inside, something has been sitting heavy. Not grief. Exactly. Not anxiety. Exactly. Something harder to name. A low, persistent pressure. A tiredness that sleep does not fix. A restlessness that stillness does not cure. A sense of moving through your days slightly out of reach from your own life. Maybe it started with a moment that should not have mattered as much as it did. A conversation that landed wrong. A silence where there should have been words. And instead of shaking it off, it followed you. Or maybe it was the accumulation. The invisible weight of showing up every single day for something that has not yet shown up for you. The unspoken fatigue of a person who has been faithful, who has done the work, and who is beginning to wonder, in the quietest, most honest part of their interior, whether any of it is actually leading anywhere. So here is the truth. What you are feeling is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is the particular sensation of a person standing at the very edge of something they cannot yet see, trusting a promise that has not yet materialized. That sensation has a name. It is not depression. It is not failure. It is transition. And real transition, the kind that changes not just your circumstances, but the entire architecture of who you are, feels exactly like this. Heavy, disorienting. Like the moment between lightning and thunder, when you know something immense just happened, but the sound has not reached you yet. You are in that moment right now. Now I need to show you something most people in your position never get to see, because they are looking in the wrong direction. When the pressure comes, most people turn inward and begin the audit. Every mistake from the last month, every lapsed discipline, every prayer that felt hollow. They compile this evidence and arrive at the same verdict every time: I am the problem. And that verdict becomes the reason they stop, not dramatically, in small, invisible ways. They swap the original vision for a smaller, safer approximation, and call it maturity, call it wisdom. And underneath all of that reasonable-sounding language is something they have never once named: retreat. Retreat is not what is required of you right now. Here is what is actually happening. There is an opposition that does not waste energy. It does not run campaigns of discouragement against lives, heading nowhere significant. It scouts. It identifies the ground where something is actually growing. And then it brings pressure, not to destroy, to discourage, not to stop you permanently, but to stop you right now before you take the next step that changes everything. The pressure you have been feeling is not evidence that you are failing. It is reconnaissance. It is the shadow that falls over a field right before the harvest, cast by the very thing that fears what is about to be collected. The attack is always timed to the arrival. The heaviness always precedes the opening. You are not in the wilderness because you went the wrong way. You are in the wilderness because the promised land is on the other side of it. Think about a specific moment in the last few days when you chose silence over retaliation, when you held something back that you had every cause to release. A response you swallowed, a word that would have been entirely justified that you decided, in exhausted restraint, not to say. You have been carrying that moment as evidence of weakness. Let me reintroduce it to you. That restraint was not weakness. That silence was not surrender. That was you choosing the long war over the short satisfaction. That was you demonstrating, in the most concrete way possible, that you have grown beyond the person who used to react from their wounds, instead of responding from their wisdom. Here is what was recorded in that moment, not your silence. What was in the silence? The discipline, the self-possession, the refusal to betray your own becoming for the temporary relief of making someone else feel your pain. That moment, the one you thought disqualified you, was the entrance examination, and you passed it without knowing you were being tested. The tests rarely announce themselves. The moments that matter rarely feel momentous when they happen. They feel like loss. They feel like you are getting smaller when you are actually getting stronger, in the exact ways strength is needed for what you are being prepared to carry. You have been extraordinary in private, in the dark, in moments no one else will ever know about. That is not a small thing, that is the entire thing. Now I want to address the question you have not asked out loud, but that has been running underneath everything. Why has it taken so long? Not why is it hard. You have made a certain peace with hard. What you are less equipped to handle is prolonged. A waiting that has stretched beyond every timeline you originally drew. A promise carried so many seasons that you have had to keep renewing your grip on it. Keep choosing to believe. Keep refusing to set it down, even when every reasonable part of you argued that a person with your history of disappointment should know better. Here is the actual reason for the delay. The delay has been exactly as long as it needed to be to produce the specific version of you that the fulfillment requires. Think about who you were 5 years ago, the wounds that version carried without knowing they were wounds. The patterns repeated without being seen as patterns. That version prayed and hoped and believed. And that version could not have received what is coming. Not because they were unworthy, because they were unready. And unready is not a moral failure. It is a statement about timing. Here is what almost no one tells you. Not every blessing lands gently. Some fulfillments arrive with the full force of everything held back during the delay, released all at once. If the vessel was not prepared for that force, the breakthrough itself can break them. This is why some people receive what they prayed for and cannot hold it. Not because they were not chosen, because they received it before they were built for it. God does not give you what you pray for at the speed of your desire. He gives it at the speed of your readiness. Every hard day, every moment of restraint, every prayer that felt unanswered, every time you chose growth over comfort, every one of those moments has been building the person who can receive and actually keep what is coming. The delay was not withholding, the delay was construction. You are not behind, you are being built. I want to acknowledge something that often goes unspoken in messages like this. The relationship that almost became what you needed. The opportunity that almost opened fully before it closed. The season that felt so near to becoming what you had been believing for before it shifted. The thing that came close enough for you to plan around it, to rearrange yourself for it, and then did not arrive. Those almosts carry their own particular grief, harder to explain than clear loss. Because there is no definitive ending to mourn, just the slow recognition that what felt like arrival was actually another leg of the journey. Hear this clearly. Those almosts were not failed promises. They were rehearsals. The relationship that almost was taught you what love that is actually safe feels like. What you will and will not accept, made certain in a way impossible without the almost. The opportunity that almost opened showed you what kind of work feels like calling versus performance. The season that almost arrived showed you that you can survive the withdrawal of something you thought you could not live without. The almosts made you specific. They made you clear. They made you impossible to fool about what you actually need. That specificity is not a liability. It is the thing that makes the right arrival feel unmistakably right when it comes. Now the thing beneath the thing, the layer that, once named, changes everything. Most people who have been waiting a long time for a breakthrough are not being held back by their circumstances. They are being held back by their agreement with the story that their circumstances are permanent. This does not announce itself as unbelief. It says something quieter. I am protecting myself. I am not going to set myself up for another disappointment. Underneath all of that reasonable language is an agreement signed in a moment of pain and never revisited. I will no longer make myself fully available to the possibility of receiving what I have been believing for, because the cost of believing and not receiving is greater than I can survive again. That agreement was written by the part of you trying to protect you. It served you, and now it has become the ceiling. Because the posture that keeps you safe from disappointment is the same posture that keeps you at arm's length from reception. You cannot receive with arms folded across your chest. You cannot walk through a door you are standing 3 feet back from, in case it does not open. Full reception requires full availability, and that requires the courage not to endure. You have that, but to expect, to believe without the exit strategy, to hold the promise close enough that you are genuinely, vulnerably exposed to the encounter. The fact that you are still here, listening, in this season, after everything it has cost you, that is not desperation. That is the bravest thing about you. Lower the protection, let the belief come all the way forward. Underneath the fear of failure, which most of you have made a working peace with, is something more persistent. The fear of success, not success in the abstract. The specific shape of the life that success would require you to inhabit. The visibility. The relationships that will not survive your elevation. Not because they are bad, but because some connections are built for a version of you that you are outgrowing. The accountability of being fully seen doing what you are meant to do, where hiding is no longer available. The version of yourself you would have to become, that version shows up fully, openly, without apology for the size of what they carry. And some part of you, the part that has been managing your own visibility for a very long time, keeping you just beneath the threshold of too much, is afraid of what it costs to stop doing that. To stop making yourself smaller so that others remain comfortable. To stop softening the edges of your calling so it fits rooms that were not built for it. To stop waiting for permission from people who are not qualified to give it. I want to say this clearly. The size you have been living at is not humility. Humility is the accurate assessment of what is placed in you, including its magnitude. A person who undervalues what they carry is not humble. They are inaccurate. The unapologetic version of yourself is not arrogant. They are honest. And the world does not need more of your careful, managed, stay small version. It needs the honest one. So before we go to the final part, what am I protecting? And is what I am protecting worth more than what I am refusing to step into? Let me bring everything to a single, irreducible point. The breakthrough you have been praying for is not primarily an external event. It never was. You have been imagining it as something arriving from outside. A door that opens, a circumstance that shifts, a moment that finally grants you permission to inhabit the life you have been imagining. But the breakthrough itself is an interior event. It happens inside you first. And when it happens inside you, the external world begins to reorganize around the new version of the person you have become. Most people wait for the external shift to produce the internal change. Wait for the circumstance that will make them feel like the person they have always believed they could be. But the interior shift comes first. The decision to stop living at the scale of your fears and start living at the scale of your calling. That decision is the breakthrough. Everything else is the consequence of it. And that decision is available to you right now. Not next month. Not when the outstanding situations feel resolved. Right now, in the life you are actually living. Every hard day, every invisible victory, every moment of faithfulness no one witnessed, all of it has been building toward the capacity to make this decision and actually mean it. In your body, not just your mind. You have done the preparation. You have built the capacity. The door has not been closed. You have been standing in front of an open door, in the dark, not walking through because you cannot see what is on the other side. The invitation is to walk through anyway, not because the fear is gone, but because you are the person who was built for whatever is on the other side. The building is finished. It is time to move in. Place both hands flat against your chest right now. Feel the beat underneath. That rhythm belongs to a person who is still here, still receiving, still alive in this specific season for a reason that is not accidental. Say this out loud, with the full weight of everything you have received in this message behind it, even if your voice is small. Especially then, I release the agreement I made with limitation when I was trying to survive a season I have now passed through. I release the smaller version of myself that has been standing in front of my destiny and calling itself caution, when the truth is it has been calling itself afraid. I name the fear. I do not judge it, but I do not allow it to make my decisions. The delays in my life were construction, not rejection. The almosts were education, not failure. The invisible victories of this season count. They qualify me. I am not behind. I am precisely on time. I am not disqualified by what I have been through. I am commissioned by it. I am done living at the scale of my fears. I am stepping into the scale of my calling. This is my moment, not the one I have been waiting for, the one I am ready for. And I walk into it now, with both hands open and nothing held back. If something shifted while you were listening, if something unlocked, settled, or broke open in a way that surprised you, do not let this moment pass without anchoring it. Go to the comments right now and tell me, what is the one thing from this message that landed most directly in the center of where you actually are? Not the most spiritual thing, not the most impressive thing, the most true thing, the sentence that found the crack in the wall you have been maintaining and went straight through it. Your words in that comment will be read by someone watching this from a different time, a different place, someone who needed to hear exactly what you have to say. You are not just reporting a shift. You are extending this message for the next person who needs it. If this reached you in a way that made you think of someone specific, someone carrying a weight they cannot explain, share this with them. You were the recipient of a timely word today. Be the carrier of it for someone else. And if you are not yet subscribed, hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell. This is the kind of conversation we have here regularly. Not the kind that manages your pain from a safe distance, but the kind that goes into the center of it with you and tells you the truth. You came here for a reason. You stayed all the way to the end. Now, carry it forward. Not as something you heard, as something you have decided, and let the decision change everything.